Hey everyone. Today I am talking about why focusing on weight loss as your primary, the main thing that you're concerned about can actually make it take longer than if you were to prioritize other things than seeing the scale move. Okay, so think about what happens when you first start a diet. Okay, we're gonna kind of hit on a couple topics today. So, what happens when you first start a diet? Okay, the first thing, unless you have been coached or helped to do this along the way, most of us create a why that is not exactly positive, right? We go into this because we dislike some part of our bodies, right? Or even we might use the word we hate some part of our bodies, right? And that's why we go about this journey. And so that makes it really challenging because every time that we're faced with a question, right? Should I eat this? Should I move my body in this way? Should I XYZ? Excuse me, we go back to the reason that we did this and we have to remind ourselves that it's because we dislike ourselves so much. And while that might seem like a good motivator, it really isn't, right? It's a very negative feeling. And what it does is it creates a negative feeling and association around the things that you really want to be doing to achieve your goals, right? If every time you make a good healthy food choice or every time you move your body in, a fabulous way, even though it feels good, you're telling yourself you're doing it because you hate your body, it's not creating a great association for movement, right? So that's one of the ways that we do this to ourselves. Another way is we focus on eliminating things, right? We take away things that we enjoy, things that we love. We tell ourselves no more. We use absolutes like none, zero. We're never going to have that. And it creates this scarcity in our minds. Okay. It doesn't even have to actually happen for us to feel this scarcity, right? Think about when the pandemic first happened and people didn't know if they were going to get their, basic toiletries and stuff. And if people had just continued to buy whatever their toilet paper as they normally did, there would never have been scarcity for anybody. But because we thought maybe that there might be a shortage, our brains were like, oh, we got to get it all then. We got to have all of it. We got to stock up, right? And that's what happens when we tell ourselves no more sugar, no more fast food, right? We create this scarcity, right? Whether it's real or imagined, right? You don't have to actually go a month without eating, you know, Oreos for you to feel like you're being deprived of them when you tell yourself that you can't have any more. Okay, so we create scarcity instead of the opposite, which we'll talk about in a little bit. Okay, um, another way that we do this, right, is I think a lot of us in this group probably have done this, myself including, right? That we do it by kind of demonizing some foods or using shame and guilt, right? We create bad habits like binging, things like that, that again, they don't help us reach our goal, right? So it's just that we have created so much stress, right? And this is all of this kind of these creating scarcity and we're creating stress every time that we're going into this. And when you are in a stress state, that is not when your body wants to release weight. Okay. So by focusing on the scale being the number one priority, we're creating more stress in our bodies and we're actually preventing ourselves from seeing the results we want to see. So how do we move in the right direction, right? Because you don't want to lose focus of this goal, right? I'm not saying that you can't have a goal of seeing the scale move. I'm saying that by focusing primarily on some other things first, you actually have a better chance of seeing the results you want to see. Okay, so instead of creating scarcity, right, by doing most of the typical diety things that we do, we focus on adding. We're going to add protein. We're going to add healthy movement. We're going to add sleep. We're going to add the things that actually we know. Like, I know we talk a lot about food here, and it's important, but it's not the only thing that matters, right? These other things are just as important. Your sleep is arguably maybe more important when you have a goal of fat loss. Okay. When you have a goal of keeping your body out of a stress response so that you can see results, we need to focus on sleep. Okay. We need to focus on getting all of the good things in, and we can do that um, without creating any type of scarcity. Okay. So that's one way. We have to make this feel good. We have to make this kind of fun. You have to create a why that feels positive every time that you think of it because you're going to have to draw on it a lot. Again, like I said, every time you have some challenge pop up, you should be able to think about that and it should inspire you, right? It should help you feel good about what you're doing um, so that you can keep going, so that you can keep going. And that's why I talk so much about celebrating your little wins too. Because when we create all this stress around, I'm not seeing the scale move as much as I want it, as much as I want it to, as fast as I want it to, right? We're missing opportunities here to feel good about the action that we're taking, the progress that we are making. And so that's really important too. If you want to do this really effectively, you don't want to be beating yourself up the whole way. Okay, again, we're creating unnecessary stress, unnecessary challenging emotion, right? And when you are beating yourself up and you're feeling shame and guilt, it's harder to stick to the plan. So again, um, it's not helping you. It's not serving you. I think that those are kind of my thoughts for today. Hopefully this makes sense that in in focusing on some of these other things first and in putting them as priority and really like creating goals around them. Like I know you want to see the scale move, but what else do you want to see happen, right? Do you want to see that you are exercising every single day? Like, is that something that would be like? I think that makes you a badass. Do you think that makes you a badass? You know, you have to figure out some other wins for you and what that looks like, so that you, you can feel good before you reach your goal. That because once you get there, the things that you're telling yourself, the way that you're treating yourself, that's not going to change. So you have to if you, once you actually do lose the weight, you want to feel a certain way about yourself, you have to start practicing it now. Okay, and you can do that by doing the things I have already mentioned. So hopefully those are some good thoughts for you today, and I will see you again next week.